Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I've got a fun topic today. I can't wait to dive into it. For the past week or so, I've been thinking through and talking to other people who are connected to Amazon sellers, some very influential leaders in our community, people who names you may recognize, names you might not, kind of reading what they're writing right now, reading the tea leaves a little bit, and I fully believe that we are on the cusp of COVID 2.0 in regards to, no, not the pandemic, in regards to the effect on Amazon sellers, the opportunity. See, I remember going in, and maybe you were selling at this time, maybe you weren't, but going into that entire era, that 2 years of insanity that we all went through, we were very nervous as Amazon sellers across the board, and rightfully so. All businesses were. No one knew what the future looked like. But as it started to unfold, we started to realize, wow, we are doing a lot of work here that's producing a lot of results here. And in spite of the frustrations of the season we were in, a lot of people, it's not uncommon at all now, among resellers who sell on, say, Amazon or maybe eBay, Walmart, that sort of thing, but resellers selling other people's stuff, resellers online, look back at that 18 months to 2 year window during the peak COVID panic as one of the greatest opportunities that we've ever seen. So, why am I saying we're looking at COVID 2.0? Well, that's what we're going to dive into today. I'm also going to make a case for why it is that right now is arguably the best time ever to get started as an Amazon seller following the systems we teach. That's right. We've said for a long time, hey, the best time to start is 10 years ago or today. You hear us say those kinds of things all the time. Well, I'm going to make an argument that arguably you're better off starting today than you would have been, say, 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Why is that? Why are you better off to jump in or ramp up or get serious right now as opposed to just after the COVID wave kind of rolled through? What am I talking about there? I'm going to dive into that a little bit too. Hey, if you're a new listener to Silent Sales Machine Radio, let me just do a little homework real quick, get you up to speed. The stuff that regular listeners already know, bear with me for a minute if you've listened to several episodes. I'm going to get you up to speed on some things. And then we're going to dive into today's content, talking about COVID 2.0 and why now is a great time to start as compared to even just a few years ago. You have an advantage now that you didn't have then. We'll get into that. But this is the podcast, unlike any other that I've ever heard in all of e-commerce. I listen to a bunch of them. I pop in on a whole bunch of shows, and maybe that's what you're doing today with our show. But this is the only one that I'm aware of that features hundreds of success stories from students who are doing the stuff we teach on the show. It's a flywheel of people listening, doing it, coming on the show to say, hey, it works. Here's what I did. Here's how it worked for me. That's our show. It's been that way for many, many years. We have over 1,000 episodes at this point. Thanks for joining us. By the way, if you're a new listener, this is the support podcast for the world's premier best Amazon seller training in the world. We call it the Proven Amazon Course. You can find it at provenamazoncourse.com. That's the website, 3 words, provenamazoncourse.com. Go check it out. $39 a month. Hey, by the way, that price will be going up. We're not sure how much. We're not sure exactly when, but in the near future, we will be bumping that up from $39 a month to something significantly more, just to continue to take care of the large team that supports that content library, as well as the changes in price that we're seeing for everything from servers. We just recently doubled our speed, for example, for the servers, so we can continue to serve our students with excellence. And one of the strange things that we've noticed, talking about having low prices, $39 a month for a course that should cost thousands, is it's sometimes not given as much attention and respect as it deserves. Because arguably, I'm pretty sure I could back this up with facts and data. No other training organization or content or course has come anywhere near to creating as many successful Amazon sellers as the Proven Amazon course has, priced at a fraction of the courses that cost thousands of dollars that are litter across YouTube. There's got to be hundreds of them at some point. We're the oldest course in the industry. We've been doing it longer. We've been keeping our prices ridiculously lower than anyone else for the entire time. We're very proud of the library of content that's constantly updated and, most importantly, creating incredible success stories. Literally every day, you can jump into our Facebook group. There's 81,000 people in there. It's free, and you can see people sharing their stories, or you can listen to our podcast and you can hear those other stories. There's links to all of this at silentjimdotcom. Jim, that's me. Silent, doesn't matter why we picked that word. Maybe I'll go into it some other time. I've talked about it in the past. But we want to help you create smooth running machines of income online. That's what we do here. And our favorite right now is Amazon. Last tip I'll give you, two quick things. If you haven't listened to a Saturday episode of our podcast yet, on Saturdays, I share a few important announcements. And then I dive into a really, I think, clean and well thought out explanation of what we do here, why it's important, and what we believe is the greatest business opportunity in e-commerce right now. I really break it down: numbers, data, facts, how to get started. It's perfect for new listeners to our show. So find a recent Saturday episode of our podcast, scroll back, or just listen to the one that's coming up after this on the weekend, and you're going to get yourself up to speed really fast on what it is we offer around here. That's one. Number two, last thing, then we'll jump into the content, I promise. The Proven Conference. That's the website you need to go check out. theprovenconference.com. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. That event, it's the last 3 days of May of 2025 in Orlando. We've invited dozens of great, successful students from our community, some coaches, great leaders. We're going to gather in Orlando for 3 days of packed out, just every imaginable topic, breakout sessions, content from people who are doing the business. This isn't theory. This isn't people trying to sell a book. This is real people from our community who have built real businesses, who are excited about the businesses they've built, sharing what works, what doesn't, the pain points, the very applicable tips and strategies that you can use. You're going to walk away from this event with at least 15 to 20, if not 40 or 50 actionable items, things that you can begin doing right now that will put more money in your pocket based on people who are doing it right now. The reason this event was recently voted the favorite event for resellers in the space, and there's a whole bunch of events out there, this was voted the favorite, is because we've been doing it longer than anyone. This is our 13th event. We've been doing Amazon events longer than Amazon has been doing them. And because we don't stand up and teach theory, we don't stand up and talk about tools that we're trying to sell. No, we talk about here's what I'm doing right now, and here's why it's working, and here's what I learned getting to this stage. Very applicable content. That's our breakout sessions, over 40 of them. It's going to be phenomenal. Join us in Orlando, Florida, the last 3 days of May 2025. Go to this website, theprovenconference.com. Here's some good news. If you weren't aware, you can come completely free. If you've never been to that event before, we want you there so badly. We want to show you and convince you so much that this is an incredible community that we don't want you to pay us a dime to attend. That's right. If you can find a cheap flight to Orlando, you can stay on the resort that we've booked a large block of rooms, $109 per night for a great resort, multiple swimming pools, walk across the street to SeaWorld right in the heart of Orlando. Take advantage of it. Make it a family vacation if you want to. That's fine. Use our room block however you want. 5 days before the event, 5 days after the event, come on down. It's a great deal. If you can get there and pay for that room, experience the event, you're going to see hundreds of incredible warriors from our community who are doing awesome things. All right, so that's all the announcements. Now we're ready to get into the content. And I promised you a couple topics today. I'm really excited to dive into this. First one, COVID 2.0. What do I mean by that? What's the evidence? What are we talking about there? Again, I've had conversations with other influential leaders in the space. I've talked to experts on the subject. Tariffs are having an impact. If you hadn't heard, if you've been ignoring the news entirely, hey, guess what? There's some tariffs right now, creating a little bit of chaos, quite a bit of chaos for some. If you have your own brand that has to be imported from other countries, it is a big, scary time to be a seller right now of physical products. Absolutely creating ripple effects. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. I'm not going to get into the overall economic impact. What I am going to talk about, however, is the amazing, wide open arena of possibility and opportunity that's absolutely in front of us as resellers right now. It's undeniable that during COVID, there was a lot of price fluctuations. Prices were up, prices were down. People were accused of price gouging. They had to drop their prices to get rid of stuff. They were understocked at stores on all kinds of things. Amazon itself didn't have some things because they were forcing sellers to sell it below their cost. So nobody sold it. So Amazon itself lacked even the most basic of stuff that everybody wanted to get their hands on because they wouldn't let sellers sell it at even a marginal profit. Like just all kinds of craziness going on. And there was a lack of inventory. The store shelves a little thin. We all got a little nervous. Some of us had never seen that before. But what it was creating quietly before any of us really even realized it was a massive opportunity for resellers. And like I mentioned in the opening today, many resellers look back fondly on that period of time, even though it was a time of great chaos and tumult and uncertainty. It was also a time of ridiculous high profit margins and opportunity literally everywhere because of the two factors I've just mentioned. One, price disparity, prices up and down. No one knows what anything costs right now. A lot of confusion in the marketplace, a lot of stuff underpriced, a lot of stuff overpriced. That creates massive reseller opportunities. And the other is shortages of inventory. That drives the prices up. Maybe you're in denial that supply and demand is how the free market works. I'm sorry if that's you, but that's how it works. When supply drops, demand holds steady or increases, the price is absolutely going to go up. Price is based on supply and demand. So prices are going to rise. That's not necessarily a bad thing for us as resellers. As a matter of fact, that can be a very, very good thing. Amazon's own internal pricing metric machine that tries to keep everybody at a fair price. It's a ridiculous, total waste of time, in my opinion. Hey, Amazon, if you're listening, turn off all your fair pricing garbage. It's ridiculous. As a consumer of your product, I could care less that you're forcing sellers to sell it to me at $3 less because you found it on some website somewhere. I want the convenience. As a shopper, I pay for the convenience of getting it on my front porch fast and the convenience of typing a few buttons and there's the product I need. And I can trust the company that's going to deliver it. I'll pay a few extra dollars for that. Stop emptying out your own shelves by forcing sellers to sell at a loss. It's insanity. With all this price disparity, what you're going to see is opportunities unlike we've seen ever before. So we're seeing all this price discrepancy. We're seeing all this inventory uncertainty. That creates massive opportunities for us as sellers. Amazon's going to have a hard time keeping up with their own price fairness enforcement. And even if they do try to do it, they're going to have to turn it on and off so often it's going to drive the machine nuts. There's going to be opportunity everywhere, in other words. This is COVID 2.0 as far as the opportunity for resellers. Not true for people who have their own brand. If they're trying to import from other countries, it's a rough time to be an importer of anything. But here we are once again during a time of tumult and chaos and confusion where the resellers, that little model that stands back quietly in the corner and everyone talks about it in whispered tones, well, the resellers, I'm not sure that they're really taking their business seriously. Meanwhile, we've got multiple people in our community with multiple seven-figure businesses doing really great. Now, yeah, there's been some challenges that come along. There's been some things that are thrown in our faces. There's always a new hurdle to overcome, but check this out. For 15 years, it's been that way. That's what it's like to rely on big websites that have millions of users. It feels a little impersonal sometimes, and the rules are kind of always changing. That's why we're a multiple income stream community. But to this day, right now, as I'm recording this episode, if someone I love, trust, and respects come to me and says, hey, I want to take you to lunch. I want to talk to you about what the best opportunities are. I'm an open book. Teach me what works. I'll work hard. I'll follow a system. I want to have a reasonable chance or a very, very good chance of turning a great profit if I put my effort into this thing. I don't want any big risks up front financially. What do you got? It's this. It is the Amazon Replens system. It's being a reseller on Amazon. By far and away, the greatest opportunity available to us right now. If you're ready to do the work and follow a system, nothing else comes close. Low risk, low learning curve, high odds of success. COVID 2.0 is coming at us. And that helps me segment into the second part of what I want to share with you today, which is arguably right now is a great time to be a new seller, arguably better than at any other time in the Amazon selling journey. And this is because of some inconsistencies in Amazon's policy creation and policy enforcement machine. For some reason, Amazon can't quite figure out how to stop punishing sellers who violated a new policy that didn't exist back when it was violated. It's kind of like if all of a sudden the speed limit was changed to 35 mile an hour on highways and everybody got a speeding ticket for how fast they drove last year. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't seem legit. Doesn't seem like true justice. That's unfair, a word I hate to use, fair. But what's going on, Amazon? And so what we're seeing is people who've been selling for many, many years who maybe 3 years ago sold a bundle that violated the now clarified Amazon bundle policy, or 2 years ago sold against a generic ASIN when there was zero enforcement and zero clarity on what a generic ASIN even was or why it mattered. But now they're scrolling back the time machine and saying, hey, here's some clarity on all these new rules that we have for you guys. And guess what? We're going to go back in time in our little time machine and see if you've ever violated these new rules. Fair? No. I would say it's an injustice, and I think it is probably going to end because I'm seeing some really good sellers of influence who have done a great job for many years getting their accounts paused by the machine, in some cases just for a few days, in some cases it's a few weeks. If you've got a big business and you're shut down for a month, let's say, or 2 months, hey, that's significant. You're laying off workers. You're trying to decide if you want to renew the lease on your warehouse or not. And here's Amazon saying, oh, you violated a rule that we just created, but you violated it 3 years ago. So we're going to pause and review your account as a result. What? Well, here's the good news. If you're new, you don't have to worry about any of that. If you're new and you follow the system that we're teaching, now that Amazon has finally clarified across the board, they've really made an effort to clarify their policies. Now, I don't think they should be doing this whole roll back and looking back in time and punishing people who violated non-existent policies 2 years ago. I think that's craziness. But you don't have to worry about that as a new seller. The new policies are far clearer and the enforcement is consistent going forward. As a new seller, that's a big advantage for you. You don't have to worry about ever selling on generic ASINs. If you take our proven Amazon course training, we're going to make sure you understand. Don't sell against a misbranded ASIN. Here's how to find it. Here's how to verify that it's misbranded. We're going to talk you out of it. We're going to convince you that that is the lane you have to stay in. A couple of years ago, that was really hard to convince people of that because no one was getting punished at all and Amazon wasn't enforcing it, nor were they clear on those policies. Now they are. Big advantage to step into an arena where the rules are clear and the enforcement is consistent. That's a friendlier arena than the arena those of us have been around for a while who are now in, which is, hey, here's the new rules. We're enforcing them randomly based on what you did a year ago, 2 years ago, and produce all the paperwork. And we still might not like you, even if you produce all the paperwork, because we're going to find something. Show me the man, I'll show you the crime. It's kind of the vibe right now for the old school sellers. And I get why some of them are frustrated. I understand that. I empathize with them. But the new sellers have a massive advantage now because of the clarity that I'm talking about right now that has been brought to us by Amazon. So there's a great deal of clarity right now. And take advantage of that. If you're new, get good training. Don't break any of the silly rules that you'll regret later. For example, a lot of the people that are suspended right now, it's their own fault. The sellers that have been around a while saying, well, I know Amazon has said they want us to only source from authorized sources, but I know this guy who's been doing it for 3 years and he buys bargain bins and he buys liquidations and closeouts from random warehouses. He's been flipping and making a killing. So why shouldn't I do the same thing? So sellers have been around a while, still have some of that mentality. And I'll tell you this, I've had people who own those liquidation pallet businesses pounding on my door, trying to throw money at me to endorse them and promote them as an opportunity for Amazon sellers for years, even getting mad at me, like really angry that I wouldn't talk about and promote their services because they said, this is such low hanging fruit, pennies on the dollar, loads of inventory. Your sellers could throw it on Amazon and make a killing. And they were right. You could until you got caught. And I knew that net was coming eventually. So a lot of the suspensions you're hearing right now are people who were ignoring the voices in the industry, our voice and others, Amazon saying, hey, you better have authorized supply chains for your inventory. What's that mean? Well, it means does the brand recognize and approve the source you bought from? It's that simple. Now they've made it very clear lately that they intend to enforce that. So I feel kind of bad for the people who have been getting away with selling pallets and liquidations and those sorts of things for a long period of time where their chain of inventory ends with Sam down the street who's got pallets of used stuff. That's where your invoice is from. There's no chain of custody prior to that. You're up a creek, man. There's nothing you can do at that point. Amazon's going to say, hey, show us that this inventory is authorized. Prove it to us. And you got no way to prove it. They're going to shut you down, probably freeze your funds. That's coming. That's what a lot of the screaming among the Amazon reseller universe is right now, is people who are getting caught in that net. Amazon wants you to use authorized sources. What's that mean, Jim? It's simple. An authorized source is a source that the brand would say, yep, we like those guys. We recognize them. They're allowed to sell our stuff. So every Walmart in the United States, if you walk into the store, everything they're selling, they're authorized to sell. Walmart doesn't carry anything in its store on its shelves that they aren't authorized to sell. So a Walmart receipt from a store that you walked into will always, has always, it does always work as proof that you've got an authorized source for your inventory. Same with Target, same with Costco, same with Sam's Club, same with Kroger, same with, I could go on, all the major retailers. They're not bringing in liquidation pallets in the back door and burning through them on a Sunday, selling them pennies on the dollar. Those are the guys that you're going to get burned. But here's another little nuance. Some of these legitimate sounding wholesalers, especially if they cater to Amazon sellers, never buy from them. Wholesalers aren't necessarily always legit. Anyone can call themselves a wholesaler and sell liquidation pallets or sell goods that were secured some other way. It could even be counterfeit goods. Amazon doesn't care that you thought it was authorized. That's irrelevant. They've got to see proof that it's authorized. That means if you ask the brand, I'm getting ready to sell XYZ cookies. Okay, here's this seller. I go into their store. They have XYZ cookies on the store shelf. How do I know that they're authorized to sell those cookies? Well, I'm going to call XYZ cookies or send them an email and say, hey, does this store have authorization to sell your product or not? You don't have to tell them you're a reseller. That's irrelevant. You just got to know if the store that you're buying from or the website you're buying from or the wholesaler you're buying from or the distributor is authorized by the brand. So it really boils down to three words. Ask the brand. If you can remember those three words, you will never face an unauthorized scenario where you have inventory that wasn't authorized. Just remember Jim saying, ask the brand. I don't know if my source is authorized or not. How can I know? Do I need to read a book about this? Do I need to hire a lawyer? No. Three words. Ask the brand. If the brand recognizes the source you're buying from and says, yep, that website's legit. Yep, that retailer's legit. Yep, they're authorized to sell our product. You are good to go, my friend. Have fun. Knock yourself out. So those kind of clarifications now in Amazon's system give you as a new seller a huge advantage because a lot of experienced sellers, I'm using air quotes, have been doing it the wrong way and kind of getting away with it for a while. Well, now we're able to scream from the mountaintops, hey, look, Amazon's dropping the hammer. All these people that are running for the hills screaming, saying, Amazon's not fair. No, they just started enforcing policies that have always been there. So if you do it the right way, you don't have to worry about any of that. That's another big advantage if you're a new seller. Here's another one. You don't have to deal with all the preconceived notions that have been so prevalent in the reselling and the selling online space. Let me give you an example of a preconceived notion. One preconceived notion that's been around since eBay popped on the scene is you got to buy low and then sell high, but you got to stay price competitive as you're doing it. Because if anyone's selling it for lower than you are, you're not going to be able to make a profit. It's a very price competitive market out there, right? And to some extent, that's still true. But we're seeing evidence every day. We've had hundreds of our students make the observation. I've given 200 examples from my own Amazon seller account, and you can go review. I'll stick a link in the show notes today. You can go see 200 examples. Hey, we'll get back to the great episode in just a moment. Sorry for the interruption, but I want to point something out. If you're enjoying this program, this podcast, could you do us a little favor? Could you spread the word? Send some friends to silentjimdotcom and say, hey, check out this podcast. Multiple streams of income, learn to sell on Amazon, great free content. Hey, help us spread the word. That's the way we market this show, is you sharing with others. That's why we have over 6 million downloads on iTunes alone. And speaking of iTunes, would you leave us a review? We love to see those iTunes reviews rolling in. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes as well. That really helps us out in the industry to get recognition and gain followers and subscribers. If you subscribe yourself, leave us a review. By the way, did you know that this show that you're listening to right now was voted as the #1 podcast for Amazon sellers by an independent survey in late 2024? That's right, the #1 show for Amazon sellers. We won, and you're a big part of why. So thank you for being a listener. You're the best part of this show. But hey, help us spread the word if you don't mind. That helps us continue to bring you quality content, attract high quality sponsors and other listeners who will pay attention to what we're doing here, because we want to teach you to use the internet creatively to launch and grow multiple streams of income. We need your help to spread the word. We want to help others do the same. All right. God bless you, business building warrior. Thanks for a couple moments of your time. Let's get back to the show. I've given 200 examples from my own Amazon seller account, and you can go review. I'll stick a link in the show notes today. You can go see 200 examples. I've actually keep a search that shows 8 million. That's right, 8 million items that are fast sellers on Amazon right now that are completely understocked or unstocked in Amazon's warehouses. 0 units on the shelves in some cases. You do not have to be price competitive to win sales in those environments, is the point I'm making. You can be the highest price among multiple sellers and win sales, because a lot of shoppers want speed. You may have heard me share this example. It's one of the cool examples from our community, a coaching student of ours who took full advantage of this. So pay attention to this example. This is a great story that illustrates what I'm trying to say about the preconceived notions that you might have about, you got to be price competitive if you're going to win sales on Amazon. Well, sometimes that's true, but a lot of times it just isn't. So here's this student. He comes to us, brand new. It's actually a guy that attends our church. He's gotten married since I first met him. He's a friend of my son's at this point. He came to us and said, hey, I want to learn how to sell on Amazon. I said, hey, here's my book. Read it. Let me know if you're still interested, and we'll talk in a few weeks. Well, he didn't get back to me and talk to me. He bought the Proven Amazon course and bought coaching without me even knowing it. He said, bam, bam, I'm in. He went to town. Next time I heard from him, he's telling me stories about his success. This is a couple months later. One of his early successes was this. Check this out. This should blow your mind. If you're under the impression that you have to be price competitive to win sales on Amazon, this story is going to be a paradigm shift. You're going to have some cognitive dissonance going on. Like, wait, what? I never knew this was possible kind of moment coming at you fast. So pay attention to the details of this story. He hopped on an ASIN that had 90 drops per month. What's that mean? It's selling, a few thousand units a month. Very fast selling product. 90 drops a month on Keepa, several thousand sales per month. We've all seen those ASINs. They're easy to find. There's millions of them. But here's the deal. There were 200 sellers already on that ASIN. 200 sellers already on that ASIN. Now, I would venture to guess that 99.9% of all training on YouTube, every course you could buy, every other expert in the industry would say, wait, time out. I don't need to hear anything else about that ASIN. If there's 200 sellers, there is no opportunity there. None. Walk away. No chance. I don't care what your sourcing strategy is. You're not going to make any money off that ASIN. 200 people, that's insane. Well, he had taken our training. He didn't have the preconceived notion that told him, you got to buy low and sell high and be price competitive when you do it. No, he paid full retail price for 2,400 units and jumped on that ASIN and sold all of them within a few weeks. As, get this is the punchline. This is the good part. This is the part that should give you some cognitive dissonance if your thinking process is broken about Amazon. He was the highest priced seller among 200 sellers. Let that sink in. Rewind this 3 minutes if you have to and listen to it again. Every detail is well documented and 100% true. And it happens all the time. This just happens to be one of the more extreme examples that really drives the point home. So the obvious question, now that you've processed this impossible sounding scenario, is what in the world are shoppers thinking looking at 200 price points and picking the highest price? That never happens. That's not realistic, Jim. You're making it up. Let me just clue you in to a little fact that's going to make you go, okay, now it makes sense. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, now I understand why people were paying so much more than they had to. Can you think of what it is? Now, if you've heard us talk about it before, we've drilled this into your head. If you're a new seller and you've only been exposed to these kinds of ideas, this makes total sense to you. There's sometimes an advantage to being new and green and open to new ideas. Sellers who've been around for decades, when they first hear this, they're like, oh, that can't possibly be true. You got to buy low and sell high, being price competitive with your price. That's the only way to make any money. You got to be price competitive. Everyone has to be price competitive. If someone's selling at a lower price, you're not going to win sales. Well, that's true some of the time. Pay attention to this story. So I'll tell you why people paid so much more. So to recap, he was the highest price among 200 other sellers, selling on the exact same ASIN as the other sellers. He sold 2,400 units in just a few weeks. How? Why were customers paying so much more than they had to? Why did they buy from him? Because he was one of the only FBA sellers. Everyone else was merchant fulfilled, meaning he was the fastest shipping option for the 2,400 customers that bought from him. Have you ever been shopping on Amazon and you see a few different price options and you see one of them can get to your house 3 days faster than anyone else? Maybe it can get there today. Are you willing to pay a few extra dollars? Yes, you are. In many cases, most people are. They need it now. They don't want it 5 days from now. People don't hop on Amazon to see what they can get delivered 5 to 14 days from now. They hop on Amazon to see what they can get on their porch within a couple hours. And if you're the only one offering that and you have the highest price, they're going to still grab you a lot of the time. That's what he knew because of our training, how to find those ASINs. So you don't have to have that preconceived notion that says you got to be price competitive with everyone else or you're not going to make sales. Nope, you're completely wrong. There's right now, as I'm sitting here, 8 million ASINs on Amazon that sell super fast, multiple sales per month. They're moving at a steady pace, excuse me. And there's no one selling them in Amazon's FBA warehouse network. 0 units FBA, or maybe one FBA seller with a few units, and it's a popular product. Everyone else who's selling those products are selling them merchant fulfilled, meaning from their own garage, meaning 3, 5 day delivery time, right? Amazon offers, in some cases, 20-minute delivery. You can get into that network of speed, that preconceived notion starts to die if you're paying attention to the details. If you're a new seller, you don't have to fight back that preconceived notion where this doesn't make any sense, where you've been told for years, you got to buy low and sell high at a price competitive price point, because if anyone else is beating your price, you're not going to make sales. Win the buy box, win the buy box, win the buy box. That's been the theme of our entire industry for a decade plus. And I'm saying, yeah, sure, win the buy box when you can profitably. That's great. Go for it. Some really big businesses do that all day, every day. I love it. Awesome. Good to see it. But you don't have to win the buy box to win a whole bunch of sales. And I just demonstrated that. Our student who sold 2,400 units didn't win the buy box one time. But what he did win was the speed war. He was the fastest. And he knew he could charge a lot more. People would pay for it because he was the fastest. So that's an example of preconceived notions. You don't have to worry about if you're a new seller. You can just sit back, learn the lessons, test them, You don't have to go buy 2,400 units. Go buy 2 or 3 units of whatever you're testing and see for yourself. Our Facebook group is full of people saying, wow, this above buy box thing really works. It's crazy. I'm the highest price seller. There's 18 other people selling this item. I'm the highest priced seller making sales because there's just not enough FBA units in Amazon's 200 plus warehouse network to meet the demand for this product. So I'm flipping these as sourcing them easily off a Walmart store shelf or whatever store shelf or whatever website that's authorized, selling them for more than anyone else. And none of my competitors even have a clue that I'm making sales at this price point. There's no way. People, you don't know when other sellers are making sales. They just think you're that crazy high price seller that's not winning any business because you don't know what you're doing. I posted an example just yesterday. A handful of sellers fighting over a buy box, and they're all priced within a few pennies of each other, and they're all trying to be 1 penny less than the other one, and they're fighting. Here I am, way above them, several dollars above them, making steady sales as the highest price seller on that ASIN. Why? Because I'm the FBA option. They're all merchant fulfilled options. They're not my competition. Preconceived notions. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so you don't have to worry about those. So what have we hit so far? As a newbie, all the old rules that are now clarified and being enforced, you can just hop right in that lane and you know where the guardrails are. We didn't used to know with as much clarity, but now we do. And you don't have to worry about Amazon going back 3 years into your history and enforcing a rule that you broke because you weren't selling 3 years ago. Huge advantage to getting started now. Let me fly through some of the other ones. Amazon has a lot of incentives for new sellers, ad credits, a set up phone call with Amazon support. They love pouring into new sellers, be it a reseller or a brand owning seller. They don't care. There's all kinds of new incentives and resources and grace periods for policy enforcement and grace periods on fees. New sellers have a big advantage right now. Or if you've been shut down a while, you shut your account off and you come back in as a new seller, maybe set up a new business. Make sure you don't violate any Amazon's policy in doing it. I'm not going to open that can of worms right now, but a new seller has huge advantages right now over those of us who have been doing it a few years in regards to many, many things. Now you may say, Jim, well, what about ungating? If you've been around a while, you can get ungated on a whole lot more ASINs. That's true. But you can also get regated on ASINs. As a new seller, you have the advantage of hearing me say and understanding what the Proven Amazon course teaches, which is inch deep, mile wide, meaning I'm not going to go all in on one brand. I'm not going to go all in on just Nike shoes, for example. I'm not going to go all in on just one grocery brand. I'm going to go an inch deep, a few units at a time of a whole bunch of ASINs. That's the strategy that resellers should be doing. Buying from authorized sources only, tracking all of your receipts and invoices through a system like 3P Mercury, ideally. Go to silentjim.com/the system. 2 words, silentjim.com/the system to see 3P Mercury. Track all your receipts and invoices. That way, if Amazon says, hey, we need to see all the invoices for this ASIN going back the last 18 months, click a button, boop, there's a report, blunk, there's all the receipts and invoices they need to see for that ASIN. Among hundreds of other beautiful features, it completely automates the workflow, but you want to be tracking your receipts and invoices. For a long time, that wasn't such a big deal, so a lot of sellers didn't do it. You know now, that is a big deal. You do need to be able to provide proof. So on the ungating front, which I was starting to talk about, yes, you can get gated and ungated and regated back and forth. Don't go out and buy 100 units. One of the recent changes that has more experienced sellers freaking out is Amazon used to say, buy 10 units and send us an invoice and we'll ungate you for a lot of things. Now they're saying buy 100 units or buy 300 units. People are losing their minds right now. This is terrible. Well, no, there's many experienced sellers. Check this out. Many experienced sellers who have never bought more than 10 units for anything, or if they've ever bought any units at all to get ungated. In our account and in many of the great leaders on our team, we've never bought multiple units of anything to get ungated. We just let our ungating happen organically. We've got a great post on this topic rather than me diving too far in that direction. If you can understand ungating as a new seller and not be intimidated by it, but know that those gates are going to fall open and you're going to be approved on more and more brands as Amazon likes and trusts you more. And some of them will get regated, but that's part of the game. Check this link out. It's a free post in our Facebook group, silentjim.com/ungating. ungating, 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 silentjim.com/ungating. Go read that. It tells you how to organically ungate. You never have to buy 300 units, 100 units, 50 units, or even 10 units to get ungated. Just do the organic ungating, inch deep, mile wide, stay diversified. If you lose an ASIN because the manufacturer stops making it, or if you lose an ASIN because Amazon buys 1 million units and sells them for $1 each, or if you lose an ASIN because you get regated, move on. As Nathan, our coaching director, says, next case, next race. Let's go. Find more ASINs. They're literally everywhere. I told you earlier, there's 8 million unstocked or ridiculously understocked, fast selling products on Amazon right now that aren't in Amazon's warehouse network. They're just being sold by people from their house, which takes 3, 5 days, whatever, for delivery. People don't want that slowness. They want speed. You go buy some of those products, throw them in Amazon's warehouse, mark your price up. You're going to get very profitable sales. All right. So, preconceived notions. The rules have been clarified. They're enforcing old rules on the old sellers, but as a new seller, you don't have to worry about that. The Amazon incentives, we've covered that. Clarity on ungating. You don't have to worry about them ungating you on things because you're not gated on many things anyway. You sell a few, your gates start opening. You never have to feel the pain of being regated on. The example I like to use is Nike, because there are a lot of sellers in our community that went all in on Nike. And then when Nike got gated again, they were screaming from the mountains how unfair Amazon was and how ridiculous it was to get gated. We've been saying all along, like I'm saying to you, if you're new, don't rely on just one brand. Don't rely on a handful of ASINs. Diversify your portfolio. Spread it out. That way, any given day, if a few ASINs die, if a few brands die, no biggie. I'll find 12, 15, 20 new ASINs today anyway in my session while I'm researching, which, by the way, isn't that uncommon to find a nice big number of great new ASINs every time you sit down to do research. That's a skill we can teach you. Proven Amazon course can help get you there. Our coaching can help get you there. All right, so what's the last thing I want to talk about? Last thing I want to talk to you about is you're not going to get stuck in any bad habit ruts as a new seller. We've been perfecting the Amazon reselling journey for since it became a thing. We have the oldest training in all of Amazon seller training. Proven Amazon course was the first Amazon seller training, to my knowledge, to exist in the world. Our community invented entire concepts that were then copied by others, and understandably so. That's great. The word replens was never heard by the planet until it emerged from our community. That was the best way we could describe replenishable products you can pay full retail price and sell at a profit because they're understocked in Amazon's warehouse network. The idea of selling above the buy box and being methodical about finding those opportunities. No one was talking about that before we were. It's still right now, no one is. We got like a 2-year head start talking about that. So we're very much on the cutting edge. We're very innovative in our community. And you get the advantage of stepping into a point in time where the tools have matured, the strategies have matured, the rules have been clarified. The rest of us were swimming in this pool back when it was a mud pit. That's what we've been figuring this thing out. And now you're stepping up, paying your admission, and walking into this beautiful swim park that's been fully developed. And we're stepping you through the process. And this opportunity is only expanding. It's a blue ocean of opportunity, expanding far faster than any of us can possibly wrap our arms around. E-commerce is the fastest growing economic sector in the US economy, exploding in growth. It's still only far less than 20% of all retail. The future is extremely bright. Amazon is about half that action and growing. It's a huge, wide open opportunity. And we've built processes, we've got tools, we understand the rules now. Now's a great time to get started. That's a lot of the point that I'm making here. If you've been around a while and you've got kind of a stack of things to complain about with Amazon, I get it. It'd been nice to have the clarity that the newbies have now. It'd been nice to have the incentive that the newbies have now. Back when we got started, I get it. I understand that. But new sellers, heads up. You've just walked into a beautifully organized system that is ripe for opportunity for you. And I like this swimming pool analogy, and I'll wrap it up here. Think of what we do here as a swim park. Have you ever been to a really nice swim park that has virtually everything? Everything from the toddlers in diapers with a little blue foam with about 2 inches of water that you can kind of step into, and the fun little elephant that's squirting water out of its nose. And no one's going to drown over there. Like, it's impossible, right? You could fall on your face and you can still breathe. That's the safe end of the pool. That's where we start new sellers. Super safe. You're not going to spend a lot of money. You're going to get proof of concept. You're going to sell two or three items of this or that easily sourced off store shelves. You're going to learn the basics of Keepa enough to be dangerous to where you're not making any stupid decisions. You're going to break even as your worst case scenario on your first 50 things you sell. And then you're slowly going to wade in, and we're going to put some little water wings on you, and you're going to go into the pool where your toes can still touch the bottom. But if you want, you can lift your legs and you realize, oh, I can float. Right. That's when you start spending a little bit more money. You start buying a few tools. You start saying, okay, it's time to build a machine here. I've had a first $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month. I want to build a machine around this. I want to see what I can do here. You start scaling it out pretty soon, work your way through the water park, use your imagination, you learn how to swim, learn how to hold your breath underwater. Now you're going off the low dive, the medium dive, and now you're on the 30-foot platform dive, launching your own product. That's the process we take people through in our community. We've seen many, many people stop at any given stage and just enjoy where they are. Just enjoy a $40,000 a month business operating at 25% net margin. It's a great churn, a great routine. You got one person helping out. You got a virtual assistant maybe helping out. You're not touching boxes anymore. Someone else is doing your shipments. And it's just this nice churning machine. You got to be finding new ASINs all the time at that stage. You're losing a few occasionally as well. Every week you're gaining a few, losing a few. But it's a beautiful, nice machine that you've built. We'd love to help get you there. That's the equivalent of, like, the adult swim area. You learned how to swim, you got it going. But there's a lot more you could do after that as well if you want to. You can diversify as well. You can get onto Walmart as well as Amazon. You can have a backup plan. You can start to build a moat around your castle, so to speak. Right? We love to help sellers take that journey. But the whole point of today was to make sure that if you're new, that you don't get intimidated or frightened by some of the bad news stories that you're hearing from Amazon sellers who are now paying a price for breaking rules that weren't clarified back when the rule was being broken. And now it's been clarified and now they're complaining. I understand it. I understand the frustration of those sellers. I've had to deal with some of those things myself. But as I look at the landscape, it has never been a cleaner on-ramp for new sellers with a brighter, clearer future and an expanding blue ocean of opportunity on Amazon than there is right now. It's inarguable, especially with COVID 2.0 upon us, which is the impact that reselling is going to feel with all the opportunity everywhere. Every retail store has loads of incredible inventory in it right now that you can make a profit on. It's everywhere. It's arguably never been better than it is right now. If you'd like to have a conversation with our team about any of this, map out completely free, map out where you are now, where you'd like to be, what the trajectory looks like, and the steps to get you there look like. The reality of doing this business. Let's have a conversation. Book a half-hour call with my team. We'd love to meet you, to talk it through. Maybe you just need some free resources. You just need our free Facebook group and our free podcast, and you're going to check it out for a while. That's great. Maybe you want to get into the Proven Amazon course, $39 a month. Get you our entire library, instant access, our getting started roadmap right inside the Proven Amazon course steps you through how to get into this business. We'd love for you. That's $39 a month. Or maybe you want one-on-one coaching. You're positioned in your life right now to go further faster. You've got margin in your life. You've got a little financial margin. You've got some time margin. You got some health margin. You got some relational margin. Your spouse doesn't think you're crazy if you're trying to start a new business right now, right? You got to bring them along for the ride. You want to convince them that this is legitimate before you jump into a big commitment, right? Okay, well, not everyone's positioned with the margin you need to go further faster. But if you are, let's go. Let's make you a rapid fire success story. Let's get you in the right lane and step on the gas with a coach, our entire coaching team supporting you, and let's ramp you off fast. That's not for everyone, but we've got a host of different offers that we'd love to talk to you about. Let's have a conversation. Here's how you do it. There'll be a link in the show notes as well, but you want to go to silentjim.com/book a call, BOOKACALL, book a call, all three words crammed together. Silentjim.com/book a call. You can text us, you can call us, or you can set an appointment on the calendar and someone will get with you as soon as at whatever point in time that you've scheduled that's convenient for you. All right, I'm going to end here. We've got our conference coming up in just a few days from the time you hear this. It's not too late. You want to go over to theprovenconference.com and check it out. Now, if you can't make it, one of the questions you might have is, Jim, can I join this conference virtually? Can I be a part of it? I can't make it. Is there a live stream option? Yes, there is. We just launched it a few days ago as I'm recording this. If you go to the website, theprovenconference.com is the site, three words, theprovenconference.com. Click on the live stream option right at the top of the page. You're going to see a great offer that gets you all the event recordings and it gets you into the 1,200 person Facebook group. There's already 1,200 people in the event Facebook group right now talking about the event, getting ready for the event. You're going to see introduction videos from a lot of our speakers. It's the next best thing to being there if you can't make it to Orlando. But hey, as a reminder, if you're worried about the ticket price, we'd love to bless you with free admission. If you've never been before or if funds are tight, let us know. We'd love to help you out. There's a scholarship button right on the website as well. Theprovenconference.com, right at the top of the page. Look for the live stream button, look for the scholarship button. We'd love to hook you up with a free scholarship to attend if you're unable to do it at this time. Details are on the site. All right, I think I'm going to end it here. Be encouraged, whether you're an experienced seller, a new seller. There is so much opportunity. The incredible stories that emerge every day from this community. It's something special. The relationships that are forming, the new creative strategies that are emerging. It is a great time. And I would argue the greatest time in all of human history to be launching and growing multiple income streams because we get to use the internet creatively. That's what we do here. So much opportunity. So take advantage of it. Thank you for listening to this episode. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hey, we've got other great interview episodes coming. You can hear hundreds of our students who are succeeding if you scroll back in time. Dozens of recent great episodes with people who are applying the proven Amazon course strategies and building beautiful businesses. Be encouraged, warrior. God bless you. We will have another great episode for you very soon. Hey, thanks for joining us for today's show. But before I let you go, I want to spend a couple minutes with my good friend Kang Dang. He has become a leader and a pillar in this community. Actually, he's the guy behind one of my favorite podcast episodes ever, number 754. Scroll back and listen. It's a must listen if you like this show at all. You got to go hear that one. But we just did a webinar as we're recording this. We did a webinar for our community last night. A whole bunch of people came and had their socks blown off. It was an incredible presentation. And we're just going to talk a little bit about it. Then I want you to go watch the webinar if you're interested in what King and I discuss here in just a moment. The way you can go see that webinar as well as get more details on the software we're talking about is to go to silentjim.com/the system. That's kind of the nickname we've given the tool that King developed called 3P Mercury. But King, tell us about that webinar last night. What'd we do? What was the response?
Yeah, so we had a almost like a mini training session that was done by our good friend and coach Brian Olson. He was a early adopter of 3P Mercury, but with certain circumstances he kind of put it off for a while, and then he finally reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm ready to get on 3P and see what it's all about." And when I showed it to him, I did a private session with him and I showed it to him. He was blown away at how much manual work that this was saving him and the opportunities that he kind of missed out on by not using our system. So he's been, playing around with it and kind of transferring over his manual processes over to 3P in the last couple of weeks, and he is just completely sold. And he's, gone back to me and says that every person I've kind of taught this method to, their minds are just blown. And I was like, well, why don't you blow the rest of everyone's mind and teach the community what you're doing? And this is the beautiful thing about this system is like when I built the system, I built it for me. But all of these folks who started using it, they put in their own flavor and twist, and all of a sudden, they're coming up with strategies that I never even thought of, right? So Brian in this webinar, he is showing you guys a method to essentially find tens of thousands of ASINs in a fairly automated fashion. And the power of doing this and having the combination with 3P Mercury track these ASINs is that he shows just a very simple example that, if he just loads up 10,000 ASINs and he just have a small percentage of that return in the advanced filtering features that we have in 3P, and that the ability for the data to constantly get updated, he would have 1,000 leads to go by and source. So it's just a complete game changer. And the folks on the webinar, we had 400 plus people, almost 500 people register for it. They were just, their minds were blown, just like how Brian predicted. So you got to watch that one if you missed it.
Yeah, for sure. And we really are shifting away from anyone who knows and understands what it means to be a reseller on Amazon and Walmart. We're shifting away from this constant grind and struggle to find good products into a reality of there's so many great products. You just need to monitor them for when they are viable and know when to buy them. Well, as a manual process, keeping track of, say, 1,000 or 4,000 different ASINs, that's a lot of work manually. But if you've built a system that allows you to track those for you and tell you, hey, this one looks interesting, time to go buy. No longer is your restriction how many ASINs you have. Your restriction is how much money do you have to put into your system, because you're making very safe bets. Some of them are paying off very, very well for you, and you're getting in and out as the ASINs character traits dictate. If it looks good right now, we get in. If it doesn't, we're out. And the system is helping us know when to get in and out. Phenomenal presentation last night. And I really think we are setting a trend that's going to carry for the next many years of resellers on Amazon and Walmart and who knows what else. But it's brilliant software. People are really truly having their minds blown. And if someone wants to go see the presentation that we're talking about, I would strongly encourage go to silentjimdotcom/the system. There's a webinar posted on that page that happened in early March of 2025 that you want to go check out. And we'll stick that right on the page for you to go see. And if you have trouble finding that or you want to contact our team, just reach out to our coaching office. We'd be happy to talk to you as well. There's a link at silentjim.com to connect with us. You can text us anytime, give us a call or schedule a call. So fantastic job, Kane. Keep up the great work, man. Keep bringing us these cool updates. Okay.
For sure.
All right, buddy. Good to talk to you. Talk to you soon.